Hi, it's me, yet again, and today we're going to look at a game called Mogul, aka Dollar Store Cornelius Vanderbilt with a really oversized hat and very pointy beard standing beside a train with a board, the game. Now, Mogul is an auction stock market rail building game, if you hadn't guessed by the fact that there's a train on the cover. But what makes this one stand apart is its auction mechanism and some bluffing that you can do in the game. So here's how the basic game works. On your turn, you're going to flip over one of these cards. Let's break down this card. As you'll see, it has a railroad on it, Rio Grande, a number, and then a square here at the bottom. Now, this is the type of share that it is. Now, I'll go more into that in a minute. This explains the two actions that are possible to do on the turn. And the 6 shows how many of that type of share are in the card deck. So how do you win this card? Well, to start, everyone in the game will have a set amount of these bidding tokens. At the start of each bidding round, you pass this cup along. If you want to bid, you throw one of your tokens in. Now, your tokens are hidden, so your opponents don't know how many you have throughout the game. It'll keep going around. People will throw a token in. If you ever want to, you can pass. If you pass, you get to empty out all that money for yourself for purchasing power later, and the bidding continues around the circle. Whenever everyone has dropped out, the last remaining player wins the card. And they can do one of two things. They can either keep the stock for themselves, or choose to do the action down here. So for example, in this case, if I won the card, I could add this in front of me. Yay, I have a brown stock. Or I could choose to sell any purple stock I have, or build on one of the purple sections on the map. As the game goes on, people will collect more stocks of different colors and different types. So let's say this is my setup, for example, right here. And let's say I have this one purple. Well, there are no other purple on the board. So that means purple is only worth $1. See, stocks are worth however many are on the board. So if my opponent said had 3 purples and they had 3 purples, that would mean this one purple stock I could sell for 6. If there's no other ones, it's only worth 1. So in this case, I would probably either build or keep this for myself, because you do get points for building at the end of the game. And you can see some of them right here have a purple and a brown, or a blue and a silver. That means they're worth a point for each railroad line. So for example, if I have one there, one there, one there, then I have 3 in the purple. So each one of those would count for 3 points. So that would be 9 for the purple, and then I have 1 brown, so that would be 10 total points. Or points are called money in this game. So that's how the basic actions of the game work. You go around until you hit the stock market crash. This stock market crash is shuffled into the last 4 cards in the deck, and that's when the game ends. One other reason you might want to keep these stock right here, anytime you flip up a new stock, here's yellow for example, you move ahead on the score track 1 space for each number of stock that you have in that company. So for example, if that had been a brown, I would move 3, whereas let's say my opponents had these 3, they wouldn't move at all unless a purple or a yellow came up. So it's a really, the game's really interesting. It's a delicate balance of knowing when to bid, knowing when to build, knowing when to sell. When I played, I found that aggressive selling worked pretty well for me, but I have to admit, I did get kind of lucky that one of the last cards that flipped was one that let me sell my brown cards. Otherwise, my early aggressive selling and not focusing much on building really would have come back to bite me. But the limited economy, the pressure luck elements, I do really like that you have multiple options to do on your turn. And the one last thing, slipped my mind during the explanation part, but this is actually pretty neat. The second place person in the auction gets whatever you don't choose. So let's say that I picked to elect to keep this. Well, that means whoever was the last person to drop out can either sell their blue or build a railroad. So sometimes it's actually advantageous to you to come in second place. If I know that my opponent wants to keep this card, but I know that I want to sell my blues, then why push my luck? I may as well drop out second, take whatever cash I can from here if there's any in there, and have more purchasing power later. But that's Mogul by Michael Schacht. It's not super easy to find. I guess that's kind of the point of the series. It has nice Monopoly houses, good quality cards, small package, a lot of game. It's super fun. Track it down if you can find it. That's Mogul. This is a Final Fantasy Tactics spinoff.